my working life, I've been a politician. Does that make you uneasy? Did that turn off your radar for dynamism and innovation? The problem with talking about politics is that almost everyone thinks it's dirty. Do you think you will find anyone in this room who does not have a negative opinion of politicians like me? Well, this is my message to each of you today. While most of the human universe hate politics with a passion, few really appreciate how critical it is to the future of mankind to find the cure for it. It is true that there is an emerging outcry all over the world for good governance. But other than those who are really fanatics, most of the general public choose to ignore it or leave it to those who are willing to play. Human condition demands that a person shines in a tribe and leads the tribe into the horizon. Someone imbued with the powers of a leader can do more good. We talk about ideas that change the world. Innovations brought about by technology, education, medicine. All this are doing good to the global stage, yes. In this world, in the streets, unfortunately, I believe we have a generation who has stopped curing dirty politics. I know what you're thinking. Is there such an animal? I am not here to give you a firm answer. The candid answer is, I don't know myself. But I have not stopped dreaming, have not stopped hoping. Let me tell you why. I am an accidental politician. My grandmother would get so mad at me whenever I would bring these 22 children home for meals or snack. I can quite clearly remember that day. President Ferdinand Marcos, who declared martial law, wanted to call for snap elections to show some semblance of democracy to the international community. His political party in our town needed one more candidate to complete their slate. On the last day of filing, 10 minutes before midnight, I filed my candidacy to run for councilor of Bukavu, and I won. This was my beginning in politics at age 21. I never planned it. Never even dreamt that eventually I was to become governor of Bulacan. But when I stepped down as governor in 2007, I had completed 27 years of public service. Bulacan is a bustling province 30 minutes north of Manila, the capital of the Philippines. It was to be the showcase of how good governance can transform any place on earth. And I mean any place on earth. I came at a time when the provincial government was bankrupt, barely able to pay the salaries of its employees. There were no medicines in the hospitals. They were lacking in doctors. In some cases, 100 children were packed in a classroom. Yet in other cases, children were holding classes in the school stage or under a tree. In places like Maykawayan or San Jose del Monte, teachers were doing 3 shifts of classes a day. And I asked myself, how can a child learn from a teacher who begins her first class at 6 o'clock in the morning and enter third and last class at 6:30 in the evening. I needed to build 2,500 classrooms and hire close to 3,000 teachers. But where do I get the money? Do you have an answer? The answer was technology. The employees thought that the computers were another form of typewriters. Everything was done manually. They would submit to me a report one day, and the next day the figures would change. You know who was happiest in this setup? The assessors. No. To cut the long story short, we turned the system on its head and spun it, and the assessors were very upset. From 10, we were able to increase the computers to 299, trained everyone to use it, and made the very unpopular decision of letting go of those whose jobs have become obsolete because of those little boxes with wires and silicon chips, many of which were probably bought from India. The payroll, which needed 26 people to prepare every month, ended up being done by 2. Searching for property records, which took several days in the past, could be obtained in 2 to 3 seconds. From 26.3 million in 2001, property tax collection increased to 40.8 million. We used a software that established a complete inventory and identification of all ownership of all properties in Bulacan. Taxpayers can go online to check their property values and assessment rolls. Assessment was automated. No one can tamper the records. And this made the assessors very angry. They even filed a case against me. In the Bulacan experience, we saw how technology can curb corruption. It improved transparency and accountability. From 20 million, the local school board ballooned to 400 million in a few years' time. Most politicians like me prefer hard infrastructure, roads, bridges, and the like, because that's where the money is. At least, that's what it is in my country. But the real wins for our people are in investments in human infrastructure. Education and health services empowered our people and to shred their mediocrity. Using local funds, we built classrooms, a college, a medical center. Our children scored better in English, science, and math. We even started a program that helped parents become better tutors to their children. And if you've experienced tutoring a 5-year-old, I'm sure you would know how difficult it is. It was not easy. But this little story shows you how technology, an empowered citizenry, and good governance can truly transform community. It sets the stage of politics to a higher level that better serves its constituency. But there's a little postscript to this story that you must learn. I lost when I ran again for governor in 2010. It was rough. Having won and topped all elections in almost 3 decades of my public life, losing was like a bad joke. It took me more than a year of tears and prayers to be able to recover. To be honest, I'm still shaking now. This is the first time since then that I've talked about losing. And it pains me. Technology in the wrong hands can also hurt. You see, in 2010, we had our first computerized elections, and that's when I lost. Is this an ending? Not a beginning? The former president of our country was my economics professor in university. I am told she considers me one of her most stubborn students. She was brilliant. She built a lot of infrastructure, but sadly, she also destroyed so many of our institutions. She left the Philippines even worse than when Marcos fled our shores many years back. She left our country morally bankrupt. And our people are tired of always just beginning, never seeing the fruition of their dreams for the Philippines. We are a talented and blessed people, well endowed with great natural resources. Our economy was better than South Korea years back, even Japan. But corruption and dirty politics has been our curse. The realities of politics can crush one's spirit. Losing can crush one's spirit. It is human nature to doubt one's deepest strength with the experience of losing. But I still stand today before you, willing to dream. Our past president can never crush the spirit of the Filipino people. And while rebuilding will take time, I know, with God's grace and with the help of a new breed of maverick leaders. So where is this political animal? Could it be you? If it's you, go out there and fight for your space. Be a maverick. Go for good governance. Don't be afraid of the consequences. Just do what is right. The future of the country and this world rests on you. Thank you for listening.